Climate change is on the ballot, says Thom Steyer, one of the great champions for this. Check it out. Leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. Tom, welcome back to the program. It's great having you with us. I'm wondering your take on how climate, one of your major issues for years now, how climate is playing into this election.
You know, Tom, climate is at the heart of this election. The Biden-Harris campaign has embraced an aggressive climate plan, the Build Back Better plan. They've pushed it in the debates. They've run on it. They've run ads about it. And it's really, really connected with young people. You know, NextGen, the organization I started, is the biggest organizer of young people in the United States. And Joe Biden's approval rating in May with young people was minus 22%. Today it's plus 23%. He has absolutely connected with young people on climate. They believe he cares. They believe that he has heart and soul in the fight to stem our climate crisis. And they are going to show up in record numbers today to vote for him and Kamala Harris because it is an emergency. It is urgent. They know it. And today's the day we turn the page on this mistake in America and start going back towards the right values.
Yeah, that's remarkable stuff. I'm a board member of Vocal, which is a philanthropy a progressive philanthropy, and we were members for years of the Democracy Alliance. I've been to a number of the meetings. I think we pulled out last year, but I'm curious your take as as a major player in this world and whatnot. Back in the 80s. Republicans got together, or conservatives got together, both in the wake of the Powell memo and some Supreme Court decisions and whatnot, particularly the Buckley decision that said that, rich people can own politicians, Buckley and First National Bank versus Bellotti. And they created the Heritage Foundation and the Cato Institute and the Federalist Society, and people associated with them started buying up massive collections of radio stations around the country, and built this huge media echo chamber that has really, really helped them win election after election after election since the 80s. Is there anything like that in the works among progressive philanthropists?
Not that I've heard of, Tom. I mean, I think on the Democratic side, we believe in data and information, and it's a huge difference. I think that if you look at what Joe Biden ran on from the very beginning, it was we're fighting for the soul of America. And part of that soul is about honesty and truth. And part of it is about compassion and caring. And, there is no sense that the soul of America is supposed to be fed by lies and dishonesty. And I think it's a gigantic difference. And I absolutely recognize the huge role that Fox News has played in this. But when we look at where those lies and distortions have led us, it's not just in all the social issues. Look, Donald Trump is terrible on the economy. Donald Trump is terrible for working people, for jobs, for our future in the ways that he claims he's good. And, if you never tell the truth about COVID, how are you going to deal with COVID? If you never tell the truth about climate, how are you ever going to deal with climate? I think it's been a huge disservice to the United States of America that there's been a culture of lies on the Republican side, a culture of distortion. And I think Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are the exact opposite. And what we stand for is something completely different, which is let's deal with the truth honestly, but in a caring way. I think that you have your finger on something that's absolutely critical in terms of the choice we're going to make today.
Yeah. We're talking with Thom Steyer, former Democratic candidate for president, investor, philanthropist, founder of NextGen America, nextgenamerica.org, and climatepower2020.org as well. Tom, where do you see? We were talking earlier on this program, and I was suggesting that the Democratic Party should take a clue from the way politics is done in the UK. That is that the party out of power establishes a shadow government. They designate, this is the person who's going to be our Secretary of State once we're back in power. This is the person who's going to be our Secretary of the Treasury or Chancellor of the Exchequer, our head of our Justice Department, all those kinds of things. And then those people actually hold press conferences and make statements about what they would do or what they think of what's being done by the party in power. And it seems to me like we're entering an extraordinarily fragile time. The next, 2 months roughly, between the time that this election happens, God willing, knocking wood, hoping that Joe Biden becomes president, and January 20th, when, if he does win, he gets sworn in. And I realize we can't take that for granted, and anybody listening who has not voted, get to the damn polls. But that said, wouldn't it be a good idea, and shouldn't we be encouraging Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to say right up front, okay, here's our person who's going to be our Treasury Secretary. We're telling you right now, 2 months in advance, and that person is going to start making policy pronouncements, or at least critiquing the policy positions of the Trump administration. Basically create a shadow cabinet or a shadow government. What do you think?
Look, I'm sure that if the Biden-Harris ticket wins, they'll be responsible. But right now, Tom, this is our day. I mean, today is the day where we have to make the change. And we don't know where we're going to be at the end of tonight. I'm incredibly positive from what I hear from people on the ground who I called on the East Coast this morning, my family and my friends who are going out and knocking doors and organizing. But, tomorrow's going to take care of tomorrow. Today is a huge crossroads in American history, and it's a huge statement. I mean, I think the biggest statement is that we've turned the page on this nightmare, that the American people have risen up and said, it's over. We never want to do that again. We never want to do anything like that again. We're going back to our values. And if we do that, then there's a million good things we can do after that. But that is what today has got to be about, is about that statement of who we are and what kind of future we're looking forward to and who we include. And I think, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have done a great job. I mean, I keep using their names, but they've done a great job of collecting people into a movement that's value-based. And that is, I am emotional about this because it's really a huge statement about who we are and who we're going to be. And if we don't do it, it's going to be, it's unimaginable. I think today is the day we turn the page on a nightmare.
Completely agree. Thom, if the federal government wants to take away your gun, if you had one, they would have to go to court and build a case. They would be subject to due process. If they wanted to take away your home, say they were alleging you hadn't paid your taxes or something, they would still have to go to court. You would have to go through due process because you have a right to a gun that the Supreme Court discovered in the Heller decision. You have a right to property, which has been acknowledged since the founding of the Republic. But if they want to take away your vote, if they want to purge you from the voting list, if Ron DeSantis or Brian Kemp or Greg Abbott want to strip you from the voting list, as they do, hundreds of thousands of registered voters, mostly in big cities, regularly, they don't have to go through any kind of process at all because we do not have a right to vote because when our Constitution was written, most people in this country did not have a right to vote. And so, it's not in the Constitution. I've been calling for a 28th Amendment that simply says, every citizen who has achieved the age of majority has an absolute right to vote in the United States that would force them to, that would give us due process rights with regard to our vote. What do you think about that?
I think it's a great idea. I think that you have your finger on something that's absolutely critical that's going on today, which is the Republican Party has organized and has it made a concerted effort to strip the right to vote from hundreds of thousands of American citizens because they think they might vote against them. And I think that that's something that is beyond shameful. And given how disproportionate that effort is towards African Americans, and with an eye to the history of the United States and how much it took for African Americans to get the right to vote in the first place, blood, sweat, and tears, it's beyond shameful what they've been doing. And I absolutely agree with you. You make a great point, Tom, which is people do have a right to vote. We absolutely know that now, and it should be enshrined in law.
Yeah, it should be absolutely as emphatic as the right to own a damn gun. It's incredible. Thom Steyer, NextGen America, climatepower2020.org. Thom, thank you so much for dropping by. It's always great talking with you.
This is going to be a great historic day, Tom, today.